want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Madmen of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
That's right.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ages. You heard that right. You want the truth? Well, you make sure you can handle the truth. You know what I'm saying? Not many people can handle the truth, man.
That's right. And Happy New Year. We're right after the beginning of the new year, so Happy New Year to everybody. And we're starting out this new year with a little personal responsibility.
You know what I'm saying? As we record this, we have just flipped the calendar from 2022 to 2023. And man, I tell you, it's a good time. It's a good time to look back. It's also a good time to look forward, man. And I think I think the whole idea of us looking in the mirror is important, as we begin to reflect on the past and the future, man. I mean, what in that mirror caused your past, and what in that mirror is gonna affect your future.
Yeah, I mean, we talk quite a bit. I mean, this one we're really gonna be talking to the guys, but it's also goes for ladies as well. But being personally responsible means taking personal responsibility for everything in your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's probably one of the biggest struggles we have in the U.S. today, and even in just the Western countries, is being in a victim mindset and looking at the world as well. It's the world's fault. It's my parents' fault. It's my education's fault. It's where I grew up's fault. But you're the one that you're the center of your own little universe, and so whatever happens to you is your responsibility. And so if you don't like it, it's up to you to change it. So if what you have been given doesn't give you the tools to change it, then go out and find somebody to teach you, find a mentor, find some friends. Maybe it's time to look at your 5 friends around you and maybe edit that group a little bit, because you are the average of your 5 best friends.
As we are thankful for everybody that listens to us, KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City, and on the interwebs everywhere, all your podcast outlets and all that kind of stuff, man. We love everybody tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, all those kind of things as well. And of course, if you're ever watching us live, if we're popping up on your screen and it says we're live, man, if you throw in a comment up there about what you think, we'd love to hear, and JBK will make you famous. So if you throw a comment right in there, if we're not live, we'll surely reply. But if we are live, then man, you can join and be part of the show, man. So we love it, man. But I think it's very common for us as we get into adulthood and we look at our circumstances, it's very common for us to blame something or someone else. I have a sad story. You got a sad story. We all got a sad story, man. Not many of us make it into adulthood without any bumps and bruises, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever, but at the same time, at some point, man, we gotta look in the mirror. At some point, we gotta say, okay, everything ain't my father's fault who died back in 1996, like literally, right? So, at some point, he didn't have anything to do with the decisions that I made. Some of those things from my past might have influenced my adulthood, but at the same time, I gotta stop blaming, man.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about personal power, and really your personal power comes from your personal responsibility. If you're not feeling motivated, you're not feeling focused, you're not feeling like you're on purpose, and you're moving through the world in a specific direction towards your purpose, then maybe it's because you're not taking personal responsibility. And I know I speak from personal experience. I spent a lot of my life, and maybe it's because I grew up in a military family, maybe it's just my personality, but I spent a lot of my life kind of waiting for permission, waiting for somebody to be like, okay, you're good enough, or you should do this, or go in that direction, or like I knight you, and there you go. Now you're free to go. And that never happened. So it's up to me to take that personal responsibility to go, okay, who do I want to be? What do I want to create? What kind of legacy do I want to get to leave to the world? And then how do I get there? And the nice thing is we only really need to know the first step on the rung of the ladder. We only need to know the first step that we take. And usually that first step is taking personal responsibilities, like the first step in a 12-step program, like, hi, my name is, and I am. And you take that personal responsibility and say, okay, I accept this is who I am, and these are my strengths and weaknesses, and then I accept this is what I want, and I'm going to move in that direction. I don't have to know the whole way, because that's another Another one of those self sabotage things we a lot of us got, especially as like Gen Zs and Gen Xers got was, well, how are you going to do that? What's your plan? How are you going to get all the way to your goal? Well, nobody knows how to get all the way to the goal. You just got to know what's the first step, what direction you head in, and go that way.
And accountability is a great place for everybody to start, man. It wasn't until just kind of this phase in life, man, that I began to realize that, man, more often than not, us as guys, us as men, man, we got some scars that nobody can see. And a lot of us got scars that, the scars are deep down within. Um, and and in some cases we cover up and we hide those scars. In a lot of cases, probably we cover up and hide those scars that we don't show because historically speaking, it's not good from a male or masculine or perspective to show weakness, right? And so we, culturally speaking, I think we've been taught to to see those things as weakness. And so, man, I just I think I think some of those scars are things that are, that are there, but we don't realize how many other guys, deal with the same stuff, man. We don't realize how many other guys have the same wounds in the past, the same abuses. And we don't realize how many guys struggle with the same thoughts, the same temptations, the same vulnerabilities, the same all that kind of stuff, man. We don't realize how many guys were assaulted in various ways, various unspeakable ways when we were young. We don't realize how many of us were emasculated. We don't realize how many of us, for sure, were raised by women and therefore, lacking kind of the guidance and the steps of masculinity. So there's so many things we don't realize about each other that we have so much in common, man. We have more in common than we think we do.
Yeah, I think one of the things we want to push as coming into this new year and quote unquote new beginnings and things is not only your personal responsibility, but actually being brave in personal responsibility and talking about those things. Because we've even seen it in the last few years. There was a lady who pretended to be a man because she wanted to expose how easy it was to be a man, and after a year and a half of that, she ended up taking herself out. And I think a lot of that is because people don't know. To Kirk's point, we don't talk about it. We've been trained not to talk about these things. So all the ladies are out there thinking that it's easy to be a guy. There's no issues with us, and that we're just skating along through life like no problem. And maybe if we took a little more personal responsibility to be honest and go, you know what, as a guy, I struggle, and I struggle because of societal pressures, expectations from my family, for all these different things, from my parents, from whatever, my family, all these things add up to who we are as men. And sometimes we need to be able to vent that and talk about that and take some personal responsibility and say, hey, I'm a guy and I feel X, Y, and Z. And if we don't do that, and we've talked about it, we just did the episode not too long ago, you need to be able to vent that. You need to be able to number one, vent that with other guys so that you, number one, realize you're not alone. Number two, you give that gift to another man and have a little personal responsibility, a little personal accountability. Go, guess what? I feel this way. And now you're giving that gift to another guy to go, oh, he's not the only one. I feel that way too. And now you can create a brotherhood and move forward. And sometimes that's how you create your team. It's how you create your gang. You be honest, you talk about what's going on with you, and then allow them to do the same.
And so it sounds like we just took a journey from personal responsibility to accountability to acknowledgement. Even just in the accountability part of it, just acknowledging, like, man, here's where I'm at. Here's some things I've been through, and being able to have some of these difficult conversations, man. Being able to open up to people in a safe way, in relatively healthy ways, and save people. Allow people to earn the trust, to open up to them over time. And the only way you can do that is by getting together with other guys and developing those kind of bonds and those kind of, that whole I cut my hand, you cut your hand, and we shake hands kind of thing, metaphorically speaking, where we got some skin in the game, and then you could begin to open up. But being able to have the accountability, and then through that accountability, being able to open up and to acknowledge where you are, what you've been through, and even maybe things that you struggle with now, or you think you're going to be struggling with in the future. But being able to acknowledge that kind of stuff is huge, man. Maybe that's a big pivot, here in this next coming year, man. Is guys being able to open up and acknowledge, man, hey, maybe that acknowledgement is I'm struggling with some stuff.
Yeah, and personal responsibility, and when you were talking, what was coming to my mind was personal responsibility starts in the mirror. You got to know yourself, and I think so many of us, and I'm guilty of this as well. And I'm sure a lot of the guys we know are guilty of it as well. Is we tend to brush over, we tend to skate over, we tend to ignore those things that bother us. We tend to ignore the things that maybe we don't think are our best qualities or whatnot. But being really, personally responsible is being really self-aware. And so knowing all of those things about yourself so that you can explain those things. And we talked about it before, we keep talking about it on and on, is that a memory without the emotional attachment is wisdom. And so when you are being personally responsible and talking about your life and talking about yourself and being able to talk about all those things, no matter how uncomfortable they are, in a sense of wisdom, from a sense of I've worked through this, that doesn't control me anymore. Because to be honest, a lot of times our personal responsibility is taken over by the things that we don't address. So those things in our emotional body, those things in our mind that we don't address and deal with, start to take over and start to become those little gremlins that start to screw up the plane and start taking over our lives. And if we're not being present and conscious and being personally responsible, saying, is this something I want to do, or am I just on autopilot and not sure who's driving the truck? That's where that personal responsibility starts. And that's why we do the show and why we offer ourselves out to you guys for support and for advice and for anything else, mentorship, because we want to be personally responsible. And it's much easier when you have other guys being personally responsible who can be there and be that accountability buddies for you.
Yeah. But starting in the mirror is huge, man. And starting, shoot, that was old Michael Jackson song. He said, even back in the day, he said he's starting with the man in the mirror, asking him to change his ways, whatever. I mean, don't get me singing no Michael Jackson, man. You don't want none of that, dude.
No, don't do it.
I'm starting with, anyhow.
You said you were going to do it. What happened?
No, I just, nothing wrong with little Michael Jackson every now and then, man. But even back in the day, man, yeah, I mean, it's something that the great king of pop tried to tell us way back then, man. Starting with the man in the mirror and looking to him, understanding him, whoever he is, finding out who he is, because sometimes we don't even know ourselves who we are. And then starting there, going inside before you can make the pivot to then go outside. But to start with the man in the mirror, man, that's somehow we ended up on Michael Jackson. Who knew that?
Well, I mean, there's truth in art and everything else.
That's real.
Does art imitate life, or does life imitate art, or is it symbiotic? But I mean, everything is an inside job. We talk about it a lot, and I bring it up a lot, but it's all an inside job, and especially for us guys going into this new year with everything going on in the world. If we want your life to be better, then it starts with you looking at yourself, acknowledging yourself, your strengths and your weaknesses, coming to terms, being honest with yourself, and taking that personal responsibility. Like, if I want something that's not happening, what do I need to do differently? And that's where we all have to start. It's not easy, it's not fun, but I guarantee you it's a lot easier when you got a group of men around you, you got a support group, you got accountability buddies, you got all these people that you can be honest with, that can be honest with you, because then you can go move forward and you can build that group. All you need is 3 dudes. You want to take over a country, you don't need a whole army, you need 3 bad dudes. You need 3 bad MFers, you can go take over a country. So you got to start with you, then find those 3 bad MFers, and then go take over that country.
Boom. And for our radio audience, let's take some responsibility, some accountability for a break, man. For our radio folks on KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City. Boom. Man, what's up with this little bot that's trying to jump in here and
they jump on YouTube and try to do their stuff, but I say no, blocked, you're blocked.
Y'all folks that can't see this right now, we can see our comments on the screen here, and there's some spam bot kind of thing, some whatever XXX whatever kind of thing. I mean, it's like, come on, man, come on, son. They've been trying to blow us up here the last couple of minutes, but nope, they get the stiff arm.
Yeah, we must be doing something right. They're trying to jump in on the bandwagon.
Sure enough, man. Sure enough. All right, let's rock and roll. Yeah.
And we back, Mad Men of Masculinity on KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City. And today we're talking about personal responsibility, y'all.
We would love to hear your feedback, your comments, man. If you want to type up in here, whether you're watching us live or if you're watching us online at all, but or after the fact, drop in a comment there. Of course, all the like, subscribes helps with algorithms and all that kind of stuff, man. It just helps other people see to do,
Yeah.
and oftentimes it's hard to do something good by yourself. You can
Yeah.
start doing something good by yourself, but it takes teamwork to make the dream work.
Yeah, talk about teamwork, make dream work. If you're listening to us Saturdays at 8 on KLDC or Wednesdays at 6 on KLDC, you can go to madmanradio.com and tell us how much you like, agree, disagree, hate us, whatever it is. Go ahead and tell us because I guarantee you, whatever you bring up, we're going to use it on probably the next show.
So we're talking about taking personal responsibility. We're talking about particularly because we are kind of a man centric show broadcast here. We're talking from a man's perspective, 2 men, 4 men, by men, and going into this next year, going into this next generation, this next phase of life, and all that kind of stuff. We as men, man, we gotta nobody's coming for us. If you ain't paying attention, nobody's coming for us, man. It's not. I'm not talking about going down the victim road, but look around, man. It's to some degree up to us to metaphorically speaking, save ourselves or assist with our own rescue, man. We need to link up. We need to partner up. Women are way ahead of the game, I think, than men in terms of partnering up and in terms of leveling up and all those kinds of things, man. The tide coming in and all boats rising, and so going forward, man, maybe this is time for men to say, all right, we need to take responsibility for us. We need to take responsibility for rewriting the new narrative. We need to take responsibility for wiping the whiteboard or the chalkboard clean and beginning to write a whole new lesson plan up on the board for the world to see.
Yeah, it's nobody's coming to save us, especially as guys. I don't know if you hadn't figured it out yet, dudes. Gentlemen, the women are at the finish line, waiting for the winners. So if you're not running in the race, if you're not doing your best, they're not even gonna see you. And so what we preach a lot, what we talk about a lot is whatever you want in your life, give that. So if you're lonely, gentlemen, if you're struggling with your emotions, if you're struggling to find a good group of men, then start reaching out, start getting out there and talking to other guys, and start joining groups and being a man of personal responsibility and a man of personal change, going out and doing those things, giving what you want to receive. You will start to generate that, and you'll start to manifest that in your life, and you'll become a blessing to other men in your life, become a blessing to the world. And when you get that group, when you get that wolf pack of guys around you, you're much more likely to make it to the finish line. You're much more likely to be more attractive. You're much more likely to be more successful, and you're much more likely to still be here when the world turns on the next year. So it's sometimes we wish, yeah, I could push the button and somebody will come and save me. Maybe I get my little lifeline pennant or something like that. I'm getting old enough, but it's up to us. We got to give what we want to receive and get out there in the world and do those things that make us healthier and more successful men.
Dude, that was so dope, man. Women are at the finish line waiting for the winner. And then at the same time, we're kind of, a lot of us don't know how to win. We don't, it's not that we don't want to. We just don't necessarily know how. And so, as a show here, as a Mad Men of Masculinity, man, maybe that's our pivot is to, okay, now how do we show men how to level up? How do we show men, who do we partner with business wise? I mean, who do we, what kind of superheroes do we bring together, to take down this Thanos, man, of men figuring out how do I up level in my finances? How do I up level in my health? How do I up level in my spirit, man? How do I up level in my relationships? I mean, how to do all those kinds of things. And, so, I think that could be like I said, the tide that comes in and all boats rise, because when men are better, the world is better. When men are better,
Amen.
families are better, communities are better, relationships are better, women are better, children are better, the world is safer, when men are better. I don't know if you paid attention or not, but all of these, crazy killing sprees and all this other kind of stuff, for the most part, are lone men.
Mhm.
The stuff in Idaho, the stuff, I mean, you name the shooting here, there, the school, this, the place, this, and for the most part, it's lone men. It's men, who somehow got to the point where they lash out. And so, man, we have to reach out and link arms, link hands, and grab a brother by the shoulder, say, I got you. Here's how we do this thing. And, we can't do it alone, man. We can't do it alone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What was coming to my mind is even if you are a martial artist, even if you're a boxer, even if you're a weightlifter or a runner or something like whatever your thing is, there's a team behind you, and we've all are part of that. Men need to suck it up, as we've been sold this Lone Ranger thing. Remember back in the '80s, it was Cobra and Rambo and Commando and all these like these lone guys by themselves out there, you know, fighting the wars and winning everything, but that's not true. In the real world, it takes a team for everybody. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a whole group of guys to make a successful man. And so we as men need to be more on the group front. We need to be more on the gang tip. We need to be thinking about who's my gang, who are my guys, and we're gonna help each other. So maybe one of us will be more high profile than the other ones, but we're all rising together. We're all working together. So we bring in our different talents, our different expertise, and we'll help each other. And that's how we're going to make it forward. So get out of your head, guys. This lone wolf thing, by yourself and you got to suck it up. As men, it's good to be somewhat emotionally stoic, but that's gotten so far out of whack. You need to be emotionally stoic enough to get through whatever trials or tribulations you're going through out in the day, but then you need to take that to your guys and process that, get that out of your system, and then learn and grow from that. And then you become a wise master that can teach the younger generation. Just
You
saying.
know, when I think about like you mentioned all the individual sports, are not really individual sports. I think you think of every golfer, every professional golfer that's out there has a guy in a white jumpsuit carrying his bag and giving him advice and writing down stuff and all these other kind of things. You name it. I mean, yeah, that team behind that person. When I go into my extreme warrior mode, one of the people I like to listen to, and you gotta have your head on straight to even listen to him, let alone read or listen to audiobooks. But I'm a David Goggins kind of guy, man. I can, I don't, the language, I can deal with that. Like, it doesn't bother me. The message is what comes through. And when you hear about him, you know, running these marathons and all that kind of stuff, every time he talks about running a marathon, he talks about having his team, meeting him at, this mile marker or whatever. And, his wife or girlfriend or significant other, family, and all this other kind of stuff. And so, Navy SEALs don't go into battle alone. None of them ever jump out of that airplane by themselves, man. It just doesn't work that way. Rambo is fiction. It just doesn't work that way, man. And so, it's going to take us to take responsibility for us. And it's going to take us to reach out and make sure that another guy doesn't check out because he's lonely and he's isolated and he's hopeless. It's up to us to reach out to make that happen.
Yeah, and it's why we're doing this personal responsibility episode, because it says personal responsibility, so I think it's all on me. But if you really want to be personally responsible, you really want to be able to hold yourself accountable and gain that discipline that most of us have been missing through a lot of our lives, or that we don't have anymore because we're out of school or out of the military, whatever. Get you a group of guys around you. You want to be personally responsible, know that there are guys around you who are going to hold you accountable, who are going to ask you questions and be like, hey, you said you wanted to do this, what's up with that? And they're not going to beat you down or anything if you make a mistake, but they're going to hold you accountable and be like, hey, you said you wanted X, Y, and Z. I'm here to support you. How are we doing this? So you want to be personally responsible. You want to have that discipline that most of us are missing nowadays. Get with the group of guys, find you some challenge, find you some goal that you could do together. Maybe just form a group. I mean, if you're going to do 75 hard, or like, hey, it's January, we want to go to the gym, we want to do sober January, whatever it is, find something that you can do as a group together. And you want to see yourself achieve goals. When you have that team around you, you're going to be much more likely to achieve goals, because then it's not just about you. It's not just about you trying to hold it all together by yourself and feeling overwhelmed. It's not just about you trying to do the lone wolf thing. It's about you being a part of a team. Even if nobody else sees the team, that team's there. And that's how you can become personally responsible and much more successful in the world. You got to have a team.
And it takes time together with other guys. I mean, it just doesn't happen on its own. The guys that I know that are most frustrated are the ones that are most alone. The ones that don't have a social circle, man. I mean, and I've said in the past, man, go start playing golf. I mean, it's not expensive. If you do it right, I mean, you don't have to spend. I thought before I started, I thought it was man, I can't afford that, and I don't have that much
Mhm.
time, and all this other kind of stuff. And man, I'm telling you, I mean, the golf course is a level playing field, man,
Yep.
for everybody,
Yep.
even the great guys. And so, but it takes that time together with other guys where where you begin to develop those bonds. But yeah, the whole idea of personal responsibility is an individual thing, but it's also a collective thing for us guys, because we got to recognize the fact that, man, there's something today missing in the area of men and masculinity. And there's a generation that is growing up, a second generation that's growing up who were raised by women. And so, how do we right the ship now in terms of getting stable? And then at the same time, how do we, maybe begin to go to the next generation and say, okay, what can we do for the next generation? But most of all, how do we support one another in everything that we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the key really to personal responsibility is to stop trying to do it all by yourself. Realize you need a squad, you need a team, and if there's something in your life that you're missing, if it's companionship, if it's friendship, if it's brotherhood, if it's somebody reaching out to check on you, whatever, that's something you need to give to somebody else. Give what you want to receive, and you'll get it back tenfold. Be that person that goes, "Hey, I'm struggling with my discipline. I'm struggling with my personal responsibility. There go. I need some people to hold me accountable, some people to go through this journey with." And as we guys come together, we will get better together. We will grow together, and we will start making those impacts on the younger generation, on the next generation, because a lot of the issues are there's not a lot of guys showing what healthy masculinity is out in the world. But if we come together as men and we start just being out in public, doing volunteer work, or just being out, doing whatever, having barbecues, whatever, but being healthy men out in the world, people will see that and they'll gravitate towards that. And you will find what you've been looking for. I guarantee you.
Yeah. And people need to see that, man. The world needs to see guys out. And I'm not saying there's no guys doing good things. I'm not saying that guys are screwed up. I'm not saying that we're this. I'm saying that, obviously, if you look in our world, if you look in our culture, our community, there's something off. And I think the hero that needs to answer that light in the sky is men in general. Is the whole idea of healthy masculinity. That's the hero that needs to say, wait a minute, the city is burning, and the city will burn if we don't go out there and do something about this thing, man. Whatever that is, whatever your thing is, it's all different for all of us, man. So
Hey, you know what my thing is?
a break.
It's break time. Time to take a break.
Nice. Madman
Take
of
a break.
Masculinity, KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City. We'll be right back. That was perfect timing, man. How'd you know?
That was pretty
Were you
good.
watching?
I was looking at the thing. I was counting. I was thinking maybe, I don't know. I was
I
guessing.
got my little timer going.
Got your beeper.
Yeah. So for everybody that don't know, if you happen to be watching this, so we do 13-minute segments ish. And then for our producer, we go for an break, and then she sees that track and she edits them together and all that kind of stuff. So you get a little behind the scenes action for everybody that's watching
Behind the
this thing video,
sizzles.
so you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, boom.
Hey,
And we're back.
We back.
We back. That's right. The Madmen of
You know it's
Masculinity,
right.
baby. You know what I'm
You know it's
saying?
us. That's right.
For
You
real.
did turn to our channel. You did turn to our station.
Yeah.
This is not a test. This is live and direct. Welcome to the show, y'all.
This is not a test of the Emergency Masculinity Network
But it could be.
broadcast system. It could be. It could be.
Maybe we need to make that. Make it.
There are a series. I think culture is in an emergency kind of state, and I really do think that, man, the solution is healthy masculinity. I'm not afraid to put it out there that healthy masculinity is the thing that we need in our culture. It's great, what women are doing, coming together and all those kinds of things. But I think even women know. that it's men that need to be the tip of the spear, and make things happen. Healthy masculinity. A lot of us, most of us are good guys, man, and we have to figure out how we level ourselves up as men to go to the next level for us and everybody else around us.
Yeah, and if you want to get off of the fairy tales and realize the reality of the world we live in. I mean, there are people out there who are actively attempting to influence younger generations of men to become more successful, more independent, more critical thinking. And these people are getting not only attempted to be canceled, but arrested, and they might even get taken out at some point. And that's what's going on. There's been a war on family. We've been talking about it, but that war starts with the war on masculinity and on healthy masculinity, because men are the providers and protectors. And if we no longer have a family to provide and protect for, then they begin to isolate. And that's one of the reasons we're doing this episode, because personal responsibility is looking in the mirror and going, hey, I do not need to be isolating. I do not need to be just hiding out and going my own way just because it's hard out there, or because I see the writing on the wall and that the whole world's against us as healthy men. That's why you need your group together. That's why you need your wolf pack and your gang to go, I know the world's against us, but we're here together. We're supporting each other, and we're going to do the best we can to make this world a better place. Because, yeah, they're trying to take over the world, and they're starting by demonizing healthy masculinity. Because if you have 100,000 or 1,000,000 motivated men, you're going to change the world. But if they're all unmotivated and all isolated and having no discipline or personal responsibility, then we get run over, we get forgotten about, and then they get to do whatever they want. So it's up to us, guys. It's all on our shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, recognizing that, man, when we come together, we can move the needle, man. We can bring things back to where they used to be. I'm looking over now, and you and I have had this conversation, man. So the whole my alkaline water, and the more I hear and read all that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay, maybe masculinity is the alkaline water for our culture, man. Bringing things back to neutral, bringing things back to more balanced state. I think absolutely. Do I think things are completely out of balance in a whole lot of ways? Now, we could go down the route of other people in this sphere and choose to be more bashing of women and more antagonistic and more them, us, them, us, them, us, them, and we could go down that path, and we could also go down the path of of buying into all of that toxic femininity and say, oh, all men are garbage and all this other kind of stuff. But that's not what we're about. That is not what we're about. All men are not garbage, and all women are not bad. All women are not part of the modern feminist movement. All women are not toxic in their femininity. Some women generally have great hearts and want things to be different, but again, don't know how. And so the whole idea of us as healthy men and healthy masculinity, coming together to be the neutralizing agent in that. We have a really acidic, toxic culture across the board. So when we come in, man, we bring the 9.5 pH, and we make this thing more neutral, more healthy all the way around. Dude, I've been drinking so many of these things, man. I'm telling you. At first, man, I thought it was a racket, man. I thought it was a racket. By the way, if you listen to this, you can't see. I'm holding up my bottle of ionized alkaline water, and at Costco they sell like the big old 1 liter bottles, and basically the case is like 75 cents each. And so, man, I'm telling you, I've been drinking so many of these things, man. But so at first I thought it was a racket, but man, it tastes better, man. Yeah. I mean, the more I drink, the more I want to drink of it.
Yeah, it tastes better, and your body can absorb it better, so you get hydrated quicker and all those things. But yeah, talking back to what you're talking about before, yeah, we could go all red pill and MGTOW and crazy, but one of the reasons we're probably not as popular and as going viral is because we're being healthy masculinity. We need y'all's help to push this and tell you people to watch and listen and support and ask questions, because we're not out there just for clickbait. We're not out there just saying crazy things just so we can get views and stuff. We're out there actually wanting to have a real conversation to men about making the world a better place and being healthier men, using some personal responsibility, some discipline, and coming together with those things to make yourself a better man, to become better men with other men, and so that we can create a better world when the rest of the world and the quote unquote powers that be are attempting to take us out and bring in their agenda and their playbook and whatever their mentality is towards slavery or New World Order, whatever it is. I don't know. But we're here on the ground level trying to help as many men individually and as a group as we can to be more healthy, masculine men. And that's why we talk about things like personal responsibility, discipline, having a group and a wolf pack, and looking at the man in the mirror and trying to be the best man you can be.
Yeah, I mean, we can't state it enough, man. It takes all of us to come together to do this thing, man. It just does, and it doesn't take the divide and conquer thing. Nobody has to be second in order for all of us to be first.
Right.
Nobody has to lose in order for us to win, and that is part of personal responsibility as well. In terms of, how can me be part of we,
Yeah.
and what can me do to make sure that we win all the way across the board. I mean, it's not one of those scenarios where, in order for men to get better, somehow women have got to be vilified or women have got to be whatever. I still have a beef with those modern feminists out there because y'all whatever. I mean, we can still,
Yeah.
we can still go toe to toe if you want, but um,
Well, they would have
because
a
I
beef
think that
too if they knew where that
well,
information was coming from.
right. But I think that's destructive, man. I think that's like the whole idea of superiority versus, I mean, it's like, man, guess what, bruh? Patriarchy has been gone for generations. It's like, guess what, bruh? Most men are not jerks and most men are not cheats. Matter of fact, men don't cheat on their women. Men don't cheat on their women. I'm gonna say it again. Men don't cheat on their women. It just doesn't happen. Boys do, but men don't. And so, there are way more good men than they are knuckleheads and jerks out here. And so there's no need to put anybody down the same way we don't have any need to put anybody down on the other side as well.
Yeah, I mean, and we can get into statistics of digital dating, things like that, and ladies having a little bit of personal responsibility, and realizing that y'all are chasing the same 20% of men, and that's why you think they're all garbage and they all cheat because those guys have 90% of women chasing after them, and they just bouncing from one to the other. But the guys that you don't even see, they're going, "Hey, I'm a good guy over here." Oh no, you're not 6 foot tall with six figures and six pack abs and all the sixes or whatever. So there's a little personal responsibility for you ladies. Like you got to look at that and go, are there no good men, or are you only choosing the bad guys? Just for you guys, are you saying there's no good women out there and all women are just gold diggers or home wreckers or whatever, or is that just you're a bad picker? This is where the personal responsibility comes in. This is why it's not the most popular subject, because you have to look in the mirror and go, hey, I chose that. I chose that partner. I chose that job. I chose that relationship. I chose these things. Now I have to live with the consequences. But it's so popular nowadays to go, oh, no, it's not my fault. It's so and so's fault. It's my parents' fault. It's the government's fault. It's all those things. But you have to live in your world. You have to live in your bed. You got to sleep in your bed because you made it. So a little bit of personal responsibility will empower you into the future.
I can't tell you how many women, I lost track at this point of how many women have said something to me about the fact that I hate it when Jason says 6 feet and six pack abs and six figures. I know, blah, 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 blah. And if men would just, and normally when they do, it pivots to if men would just blah, 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 blah. And even on the dating and relationship aspect of it, fact is, yeah, if you keep ending up with the same type of person, maybe it's not everybody else's fault. Maybe there's some level of personal responsibility of, okay, what is it about me that keeps attracting this type of person, and or what is it about me that keeps choosing this type of person? Because I can assure you that there's a lot of good people out there. And so when I hear people, do that whole, all men are this or all women are this, I'm like, no, all of yours are.
Mm-hmm.
But I know some fantastic men who are single and and very open and very available. I know some fantastic women who are single, very open and very available. And so that personal responsibility even comes in the dating aspect of life in terms of people's narrative as to what goes on in their world and what they see and what they keep experiencing over and over again.
Yeah, and I actually wrote it in my first two books, and I mean they're over my shoulders. You can go get them on Amazon, but I will challenge y'all, if you really want to get into some personal responsibility mindset, look at your life through a point of choice. And I mean, even to the point like people say, "Oh, I didn't choose to be born." Well, what if you did? I mean, just think about how empowering it is if you thought, "What if I chose those people to be my parents, no matter how crazy they were or how abusive or whatever? What if I chose them to have that experience? What did I learn from that? How can I turn that into a positive and go out into the world?" Because everything that we have experienced as children has led us down a path. And what if maybe we had some sort of blueprint that we were like, I want to head. This is these are the ingredients of my life cake, and I want to bring these into the kitchen and see where I go with it. Now, if we're playing the victim card and the victim mindset and going, oh well, I didn't choose that. I didn't choose to have that experience. Well, you're still going to be a victim of it. whether you chose it or didn't choose it, whether you had any influence or not. If you play the victim card, then you have no power over it. You're always going to be a victim of it. So it behooves you to go, hey, maybe I didn't choose, but what if I did? And if I did choose it, what did I gain from that experience? And how can I take that forward? Because all of our traumas tend to lead to our purpose in life. All of our pains and scars and everything else tend to lead to what we want to heal in the world. So what if you chose it because you had a plan before you got here to go, I want to heal this thing in the world, or I want to be this angel to somebody else as I move forward in the world.
But you know that victim mentality is not going to get you anywhere, and that victim mentality is the opposite of personal responsibility. I mean, again, we've all been through some stuff, like period, and pretty much we're all going through some stuff. But we've all been through some stuff, so I'm not trying to discount any of that. But how you choose to live your life, and by choosing to live it through a victim mentality, is going to get you nowhere. Victim and victor. The difference is at the end of the word, there's I'm or there's or. And so you can either see, victim, I'm this and I'm hurt, I'm wounded, I'm abused, and I'm all these other kind of things. Or you can choose to be a victor and have a choice in that whole matter of, okay, I'm going to take my pain and make it a purpose, to your point.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to take this thing that I've been through. I've personally been through addiction. Okay, so having gone through addiction, guess what? I'm not an addict. I'm not going to sit around a room and say my name is Kirk and I am something I don't want to be. That's just me personally. I choose to take personal responsibility for my choices. And so, and speaking of choices,
I think we should choose to take a break. What do you think?
I think we should choose to take our last break here on Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City.
Doing the breakdance. Doing the breakdance. One of these days we're going to have to wear our shirts at the same time so people don't think we're sharing the same shirt.
I was noticing that. I was like, man, one of these days we're going to happen to get it right once. One good time we're going to happen to get it right.
See, that's the problem is, guys, we don't coordinate as well. What are you wearing? What are you wearing? That's not even a question we ask.
We don't coordinate. You got to coordinate.
Coordination.
You got to coordinate.
Why don't we coordinate?
Yeah. We probably, people think we got one shirt that we share. We split it up. You wear it this time, I wear it next time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But dude, by the way, I wore that shirt you got me for Christmas, man. That joint is nice.
You like that?
I likes that. Oh yeah. I likes that. I likes that big time. It's comfortable.
Good stuff.
Callaway joint too. I was like,
that is nice. Yeah. It was blue. I know how you like the blue.
I wore it kind of dressy. I wore it with some tan slacks. Not even some khakis, some actual nice slacks, man.
I noticed that thing when I pulled it out. I kind of measured myself, and it looked like it was kind of long. I was like, "This looks like you need to tuck it in." So I guess you got.
But it'll be comfortable. It'll be comfortable to play it too, because it's kind of it gives when you move around when it's untucked. So anyhow.
All right. Well, they don't want to hear about our wardrobe. I guess we better come back.
And we're back, y'all. We're back.
Baby.
KLDC Mad Men Radio. Shout out Crawford Broadcasting. Shout out super producer Nikki Nicole. She got us some good old cookies right before Christmas, man.
Thank you for making us sound better than we really do.
For real. It's good when the chocolate chips are sticking to the side of the box.
Man, yeah.
It's good.
That's all natural chocolate.
Because you got to swipe. You got to swipe the chocolate chip off the box and you can't, and with the cookie, you can't wipe it with the cookie because more chocolate chip will get on the box.
No, make you look make you look like a chocolate chip crackhead because you're in there with the package licking the chocolate off the side.
That joint was good, man. Them cookies was good. She put some love in them cookies, man.
Yes, sir.
Them bad boys was good. Anyhow, we're closing out on talking about personal responsibility, individually, collectively. Here going into, as we record this, our new year, but every day is New Year's Day. Every day starts a new year. So, but as we go forward into this thing, man, we have to choose on either side not to be a victim, choose the best we can be a victor. And what does it take to be that? What does it take to get to that? And sometimes you got to find out some information, and sometimes you got to have some information come to you. But taking that leap of faith, taking that step of action is a choice.
Yeah, for all you that are ready, it's beginning of the new year and you want to take some steps. Maybe you got your New Year's resolutions or whatever. one thing you can do is feed your mind. If we go back to the freedom episode and Kirk was talking about the score system, and you want to feed your mind spiritually, you want to feed your mind mentally, learn something new, and you do something physical each day. But one great book, and we're talking about the victim mindset. There's a great book by Carol Dweck, Mindset. So there's either the victim mindset or the growth mindset, basically the closed mindset or the growth mindset. And what that says is basically, if you were saying I know or I don't know, your mind is closed. If you're open to I'm not a victim, say I want to grow through this, I want to learn from this, and that's what tends to happen is a lot of us we go, well, this was just how I grew up, or this is just where I grew up, or this is just how it is. Well, that closes you down. So now you have a closed mindset, so there's no growth there. You're just stuck. And the same thing happens with a victim mindset. So switching to a growth mindset of, well, this was my experience, what can I take from that? This is my trauma, my pain, my upbringing, what can I take from that? And that way you're always looking to grow. So a great book to add to your Audible list or your bookshelf is Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Yeah, because we gotta find ways to up level, man. We gotta find ways to take things. And for me, it's no secret I've said it, but I have troubles reading, like literally eyeballs to letters and numbers reading. And so for me, man, audiobooks are my key, man. I got so many books. I got so many books and credits in my Audible account, man. Ain't even funny, but man, I listen to audiobooks while I'm working out. I listen to audiobooks kind of whenever, man. And we got to get whatever information we get. But fact is, from a guy perspective, man, us guys, it's time for us to level up, man. It's time for us to take our thing to the next level, not wait for permission, not wait till it's okay for the world to accept us as men in this new year, in this new age, but to go in and write our narrative. And if nothing else, man, if nothing else, put our hands around another guy's shoulder and like, how you doing?
Yeah, and I mean, to not put the frosting on the cake or to candy coat it any more than possible. But life is pain and life is struggle. And you get to choose what your pain and struggle is, what it looks like and what it's for. What tends to happen is most of us go on this autopilot. So our life is pain and struggle that we didn't choose versus maybe taking a little bit of personal responsibility and going, well, I know it's going to be a struggle. I know there's going to be some pain involved. What is the pain and the struggle that I choose? Is that taking me in the direction I want to go? What is my goal in life? What are the things that inspire me? What are the things I want to do? And go in that direction, because we all know that there's going to be struggle, there's going to be pain. But one thing that is different is when you have personal responsibility and you are taking your life in your own direction, then you don't suffer. Now, if you're in the victim mindset and there's pain and suffering going on, or pain and struggle, now you're suffering because it's not of your choice and you think you're a victim of it. So, gentlemen, decide, what is the pain and struggle I want to have in my life, and how can I turn that into a positive versus getting in pain and struggle that I didn't choose and now I'm suffering because it's not of my choice.
We're gonna have obstacles in life, man. We're gonna have things that challenge us. We're gonna have things that spam us. As we're sitting
Constantly.
here now in our comments, this bot is blowing us up in the chat thing, links and all this other kind of stuff. And so, I mean, that's a metaphor for life, man. We're gonna have those kinds of things. We're gonna have obstacles. We're gonna have challenges. Fact is, none of us are 100% sure that we're gonna be here a year from today, because tomorrow's not promised to any of us. And so while we have the time, let's make the most of our time. Let's maximize our time and do something with the time that we have, in spite of the obstacles, in spite of the challenges, in spite of the spam that we have hitting us up. And sometimes that's going inside, and that's dealing with whatever's inside, not escaping, not medicating, not trying to not deal with the challenges in life, the hurts. And we got wounds, okay, but how do we make those wounds scars, and such that they don't bleed anymore, and it might still be there, but how do we take what was dished out to us and make something of it? Back in the old days, man, my great grandmother she could take a few ingredients, man, and she could make, even back in college, man, we took that food, that nasty food they made in the cafeteria, man. We would lay some Tabasco up on that bad boy, or put some Taco Bell sauce on that thing, man. And so sometimes you gotta doctor up the dish that was served to you.
Yeah. And think about it this way. We all have to physically do things, we all have to mentally do things. But if you are going out in the world and taking what comes to you and using it as a positive, then you're building muscle, you're building wisdom. But if you're taking it as a negative, as a victim mindset, now it's just beating you down. Now it's just weighing you down. You're not taking that in and using it as fuel. Now it just becomes concrete on your shoulder and on your head so that it's weighing you down. So if you're feeling weighed down, if you're feeling like the weight of the world's on your shoulders, maybe you're not letting go of or using the things that come to you in the proper way, in the right mindset, so that you can turn it into muscle, you can turn it into wisdom, you can turn it into experience, and something that you can pass on and use to make your life better in the future. I know a lot of us kind of get into situations because we got bills to pay, we got family to take care of, that we may or may not have chosen, or that we don't want to admit that we chose. But no matter what your situation is, you can do the easiest thing and the hardest thing at the same time, but it's the best way to change your life in an instant. Change your mindset. No matter whether you're a janitor or a cook or a dishwasher, whatever, you can choose to make that the most important job. You can choose to make that the thing that you're using to get yourself to the next step, the next level. It's up to you, or you can choose to be a victim of it. It seems overly simple, but most of the most deep, profound things in the world are pretty simple on their base.
We can choose to, man, we can choose to take on some kind of person. If you want to, you can make a difference in some kind of way this coming year. If you want to, as a guy, you can make the choice to impact your sphere of other men by reaching out regularly to other men just to check in. Hey, how you doing? Scale of 1 to 10. And you can say, you know what? If nothing else, I'm going to do my best to make sure that the sphere of men that I have in my life don't check out too soon or don't check out voluntarily. I mean, if nothing else, you can have that impact. I mean, without going out and starting a organization or go winning a Nobel Peace Prize or nothing like that, but you can start with something small, but that comes down to a choice, and that choice involves us leveling up individually and leveling up collectively.
Yeah, I mean, make the choice for yourself this New Year's as a man or as anybody to start looking at your world through a point of choice, to start taking personal responsibility. Because I know it sounds heavy. It sounds like, oh, I have to take responsibility. Well, guess what? For most of us, especially all y'all listen to this, I would say 99% of y'all, you're adults. You're at the house. It's your responsibility. So if you don't take that personal responsibility on as your own, then you basically give that away and become a victim of somebody else. So I challenge you all to take personal responsibility as a good thing, and then start to mold your life and build your life in the way that you want it to be, that makes you the happiest, the most fulfilled. It's totally up to you. You can choose to choose out, or you can choose to make no choice at all, but still a choice. But if you are not happy with your life or happy where you're at, maybe make a new choice. Maybe take personal responsibility on as a good thing, so that you can become personally responsible of your life and you can become the champion of your own life, and then take that out and give it to other people and maybe become the champion in their lives. You could become their hero. You never know.
And I think that's the reason why, honestly, why I resonate so much with a guy like David Goggins. Like I said, a lot of people can't deal with his language. He's pretty harsh. Um, but at the core of his message, it is about taking responsibility. He's got a pretty jacked up story, life
Mhm.
story, and I resonate. Like a lot of things that happen to him happen to me. I can relate to when he would describe things from his childhood or his youth and all those kinds of things, man. And again, I think he probably goes to the extreme of, man, of just recognizing that you are a piece of whatever and this, I mean,
Mhm.
and doing something about it. But his whole thing is taking all that as fuel and doing something about it, doing something meaningful. And um, so yeah, man, I would say my closeout is we got to start as guys, man. Nobody's coming for us. Period. Like nobody's coming for us. Culturally speaking, the powers that be aren't worried that we're checking out in record numbers. The powers that be aren't worried about, we're causing mass casualties in different places. The powers that be aren't worried about that, man. So us as men, healthy masculinity, we got to bring this thing together, man. And us as a show here, maybe that's our pivot for this year is how is communicating along the way, having maybe more guests on, and like I said, partnering with people who have expertise and all that kind of stuff on how to level up in all the different ways of life. But it's totally up to us in this next coming year to level up ourselves, because nobody's coming for us, man. Like it or
Yeah.
not, nobody's coming for us.
Yeah, but to that point, so that you guys don't get the wrong impression, nobody's coming for you, but there are millions of people out there with you and for you. So
Absolutely.
it's a matter of just taking a little personal responsibility and ask for help and getting out there and becoming a part of the solution. Because when we're alone, when we're isolated, when we're depressed, We're part of the problem. We're not part of the solution. So I challenge myself, Kirk, the rest of you, our family and audience out there, and all the men. Now change your mindset to become part of the solution. All you got to do is change that mindset and say, I am in control. I choose this. I choose personal responsibility. I choose to be disciplined in my life. I choose to create something versus being a victim of what somebody else created. And it doesn't matter what your job is. You can change your mind no matter how depressed you are about your job. You can change your mind in an instant and decide to make that become the best, whatever it is. You can become the best dishwasher, best janitor, whatever it is. And that will lead you to success. So it's just a mindset change. Everybody says, you read all the sex books and it's all about it's 90% mindset, 10% what you do. And they're not wrong. So we're just telling you the same thing. This year we challenge you, change your mindset, take a little personal accountability, personal responsibility, and find a group of buddies that you can be accountable with, and your next year will be completely different than the one you just ended. So we love y'all. We thank you for watching. Please like and share and comment. Go to madmenradio.com. Go to Mad Men of Masculinity on YouTube. And till next time, Mad Men out.